Hello and welcome into the Birds of the Round Table. We are celebrating an Eagles wild card victory tonight over the Green Bay Packers, and then we're going to flip the page and preview a divisional round matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. I'm your host, Shane Haff. You can follow me on Twitter at ShaneHaffNFL, joined as usual by the crew. We'll start with David. Give him a follow on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. David, how are you doing this evening?
Doing great, man. We're just talking about a wild card win, another home game at the Link in the NFC Divisional Round. I think everybody wanted this opponent. If you had a choice, I think this is who we wanted the next round. So there's a lot to be happy about on this Tuesday evening.
All right. Absolutely. Also joined by Ryan. Give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm still just pumped up from Sunday, and no, I surprisingly wasn't terribly too hungover. I'm doing this thing where I drink heavily for 7 hours of tailgating, then I drink one of those liquid IVs. I drink a water and a soda in the game, and then I popped two Excedrin. I popped two Excedrin on the car ride home. No hangover, baby. No.
Love to hear it.
Whatever works.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. So I'm just going to go to Dives. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mr. Crockpot. Dives, how you doing?
Doing well, man. I'm doing better than I was yesterday. I was kind of down in the dumps with all of the Nakobe Dean news. I'm feeling better today. Let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. And let's start with the offense. Lots of things flying around Twitter, around talk radio today about the Eagles offense. And Anthony, so update on Blue Sky. Buffer, which is my social media manager that lets me cross-post things, finally gave it the ability to post videos. So I will put videos out onto Blue Sky now. I still won't be there because I just don't have time to interact on two social media platforms, but I should at least have my film threads going out to Blue Sky moving forward. But anyways, let's get into the offense. Lots of things flying around. We got career backup quarterbacks arguing with each other on Twitter. I've been tagged in some ridiculous things throughout the day. Let's just take a step back. Let's talk about the Eagles offense and what we saw. Dives, I'll throw it to you first. Give me your top offensive takeaway in this one.
I'll let you tackle the Kellen Moore thing. I'm already tired of talking about it. Hopefully it improves this week. But for me, it's got to be Dallas Goedert. I'm going to double down on my take for my player of the game during post game on Sunday. The Eagles needed every bit of his 4 catches for 47 yards. He made the play of the day offensively. The triple stiff arm into the end zone for 20 yards. The other one was a first down. That position has been a weak point, and to have him back, that physicality, his run blocking, it's so huge for this team going forward, especially if Kellen Moore finally adjusts and we start utilizing him on some play action, getting some more quick passes to Dallas Goedert, some middle of the field action. We've seen Jalen Hurts do it. We just need to see a better game plan. So for me, it's got to be Dallas Goedert. The fact that he's back, he's healthy. He's now got back-to-back weeks of very good football. Hopefully that's a sign of more Dallas Goedert. I'm still not ready to call him a top 5 tight end like I'm seeing a lot of people do. But at the end of the day, he is so important to this team. He's underrated important to this team.
Dallas Goedert's easily a top 5 tight end in the NFL. If he had more volume, he's never going to be recognized as that in Philly, and he does get banged up, and that hurts as well. But what he's able to do is definitely top 5 tight end worthy. He's just never going to be recognized as that in Philly, but he adds so much in the run game. He had obviously the great play against cover 0. So it's good to see him back and healthy. Hopefully he can stay healthy moving forward. Ryan, what was your offensive takeaway in this one?
Yeah, that Jalen Hurts struggled, obviously, and we knew this was going to happen. And, again, I think a lot of people I've been saying that, obviously he was a little rusty. It was a month before the last time he really had a snap. And sure enough, he starts out the game 6 for 6, but that's not the rust that I'm talking about. It's the rust in the adjustment of the game. It's you come out and do this, somebody comes out and counteracts that and adjusts to you. And his adjustment is what was certainly rusty. The Green Bay Packers, I thought, had a really good adjustment to Jalen Hurts, and Hurts really didn't have an answer for it. He struggled for most of the rest of the game after his decent start. So I think that rust is all but off at this point. With another full week of practice heading into this Rams game, I expect Jalen to be a full go.
All right. David, I'll throw it to you next. Give me your top offensive takeaway.
My top takeaway that was in my mentions was that everyone posting that the Eagles purposely didn't play hard or didn't show much intentionally because the Packers just didn't warrant having to play that well to beat, which is insane. But that's not my takeaway. I'm going to let Shane just wallop that one in a minute here. But my biggest takeaway was the Eagles have the number one offensive line in football, and they have the best running back in football. On a day where there were 8 in the box at many points, when the game plan was to stop Saquon Barkley, if he doesn't slide down at the end of that game to kill the clock, he goes for $179 and a touchdown. He's almost unstoppable. The line is almost unstoppable. And I think that's their bread and butter going forward. If there's anything to be said about the game plan, it's that the Eagles offense realized, the coordinators and coaches realized that the Packers were not going to put up a lot of points that day. So there was no point in risking the ball, putting it in harm's way. He didn't have any turnover worthy plays. I don't know how many weeks in a row this is, but it's a lot. And the game plan is to protect the ball, score methodically when you can, and to limit the other team and just ride your number one defense. And that's what they've done.
Yeah. Listen, first and foremost, I have to interject. Matthew Stafford is not a freaking Hall of Famer. Please. Oh, my God. That irks me at my core.
He's borderline, probably.
How people are fooled by Matthew Stafford. I'm sorry.
Slay loves him.
I'm sorry. He is very average.
Matthew Stafford's an incredible quarterback, right? Come on, man. He's
borderline Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's very good. Now he is a little bit streaky. He is a little bit streaky, and we'll get into some of that in the preview. But when Stafford is on, like he was on at the beginning of that Vikings game, he can be virtually unstoppable. So Stafford is a very good quarterback. I don't know if he'll make the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is a total joke anyways, so I won't weigh in on that. But Stafford, very, very talented quarterback.
Dives, you were going to say?
What?
Dives was going to say something.
Yeah, I think Stafford's terrific, man. if that's why I ranked the Rams number one. When I was like teams, when we were talking about the Vikings, the Rams, and who's the other team?
Packers, Commanders, yeah,
Bucks.
Oh no, it was Bucks, then Rams, then Vikings, or something along those lines.
Because you trusted Stafford the most out of all the starting quarterbacks.
I do not trust Stafford. I think Stafford can cook this Eagles defense if we catch him on a good day. So that's just me.
Yeah, Stafford's definitely really good. But we'll get into the preview in a minute. One of my biggest takeaways in this game was how much the Eagles' interior offensive line struggled.
Yeah.
In pass protection. I thought that 3-man unit, and it was all 3 of them. If you want to go with PFF charting, it was 3, 3, and 2 in terms of pressures allowed. The tackles allowed none. But it was a lot of the Packers getting them off of stunts. They ran a lot of stunts, and the Eagles really struggled to pass those off. And that's going to become important because you're about to play the Rams, who stunt on 30% of passing downs, which is the 7th highest rank in the league. And so to blend, take away, and preview a little bit, that's something that's concerning. If you got to clean that up this week. And it's also one of those things where, like, we know the Eagles offensive line is really talented. We know Jeff Stoutland's phenomenal at his job. And so when you get exposed a little bit in a certain area like that in a game you win, it probably bodes well for being more prepared for the next game. But I was really underwhelmed by the interior offensive line in pass protection. And I was also really underwhelmed by the game plan. I thought Kellen Moore called a crappy game. I said on the post-game show that there was a chance I would have to walk this back after I watched the film, but from watching broadcast copy, I thought it was the worst offensive game plan I had seen since the Bucs playoff game last year. Having watched every snap on all 22, I stand by that statement. It was a horrific game plan. And I don't know, maybe there's an element of you score a touchdown off of a forced fumble on the opening kickoff and you get a 3-and-out and real quickly you're up 10-0 and you just like fold up and we play super conservative. But the offense was very conservative. It was very risk averse. And we can talk about the turnover worthy plays and stuff from Hurts. He only has 2 in his last 7 games, but he has 0 big time throws in that same time frame. And he's only attempted 10 passes of over 20 air yards in his last 7 games. AJ Brown's one of the best deep ball winners in the NFL. Like, that's a huge element of the Eagles offense that they're not using. And the fact that they're not throwing it deep also hurts their ability to throw those outbreakers and those curls and those comebacks outside because teams are starting to sit on those because they know you're not throwing it deep. The way the Eagles won the Packers game works as long as the defense keeps dominating everybody. But you're likely going to come to a game where that's not the place, whether it be Stafford getting hot and you get into a shootout against the Rams, whether it be, the Lions or the Commanders the next week, whether it be a Super Bowl. At some point, you're probably going to have to do more. And it's hard to just flip that switch and go from super conservative, we're not going to trust pushing the ball downfield, to now we've got to go try to win a shootout. And this is the second year in a row. Expected completion percentage is not a perfect thing. It's based on models and, football's not played on spreadsheets and all that. But I generally think it's a pretty reliable metric. Last year, Jalen Hurts had the lowest expected completion percentage in the NFL. This year, he has the 5th lowest expected completion percentage. Now, both years, he's been top 5 in completion percentage over expectation. But for 2 years now, he's been given the most difficult throws possible. He's not being put in a position to make the game easy. Like, I was talking to Johnny today in our Discord, and I was like, I remember week 1 against the Packers. They ran that play action double post wheel route they threw to Saquon for a touchdown. And I remember raving about that on our all 22 film review stuff. It's like, that's such a cool design. I literally don't remember saying that about a pass play since. And that's really concerning in the playoffs. And so it's time for the pass game design to step up. And so Kellen Moore needs to stop having head coach interviews. I don't know. And let's put together a game plan that involves a little more complexity than what the Eagles put out there, because that's not going to work every week. I know it worked. I know they're 15-3. I think you're going to need more before the playoffs are over. So,
and maybe target AJ and Smitty more than 3 times in the first half.
Yeah, maybe so. And maybe just throw him a jump ball at some point and see what he does with it, because it generally works out pretty well. So
it's frustrating because we know it works. Like, we have a whole season of knowing what works, and to go completely away from that, it's just got to be better. I'm giving Kellen Moore the benefit of the doubt. If Saquon hits the end zone and it's 29-12 or something, it's probably a different narrative. But still, I mean, that game should have been a 30-point blowout for sure. At the end of the day, it's got to be better. I hate the conservative approach when we know what works with Jalen Hurts, getting the ball out fast, getting the ball to Devontae in space, getting the ball to AJ in the slants, the mesh. It all works. But we need to see it for 4 quarters. Like, that, just what we saw against the Packers is simply inexcusable.
Yeah, I do have a comment here from T. Grant I want to answer real quick. He asked what expected completion percentage is. It just uses tracking data to say what the completion probability is on a pass given the receiver's depth of target and separation from the nearest defender. So that's really all. It factors in pressure on the quarterback. Basically, the separation the quarterback has from the nearest pass rusher, the separation the receiver has from the nearest defender, and the depth of target. And it spits out, there's a 58% chance that pass gets completed, and you average all those together. So that's what that metric is. Whether you buy it or not, it's pretty generally accepted to be a good metric, and it's one of my favorites when looking at QB play. So, okay, that's my soapbox. Anybody else have anything they want to throw out quickly offensively before we get into the defense?
I love go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Just the fact that they were only able to score 7 points off of 4 turnovers was pretty troublesome. Normally, that would not come back. That would come back to bite you normally. They got very lucky in that regard, and they had a lot of short fields. And I think the only 7 points they did get was the one off of the kickoff return, where they were all the way down in the red zone to start. So that was quite a concern. And going forward, they're going to have to capitalize. Points off turnovers are a big indicator of victory in the playoffs, and they're going to have to capitalize on that.
I low-key think that like this offense goes when the interior offensive line is clicking on all cylinders in run blocking and pass protection, and they're going up against a team in Los Angeles Rams that might have the most underrated defensive line in football, and that's where they're strongest. So we'll get into that soon.
All right, let's kick it over to the defensive side of the ball. Ryan, I'll throw it to you first. Give me your defensive takeaway from this game.
Yeah, the defense and more specifically, Vic Fangio had the boys playing, had a great game plan, and even with the loss, the heart-wrenching loss of Nakobe Dean, they were still able to keep what was a top 5 scoring offense in the Packers to 10 points. And honestly, there was maybe that one play with Josh Jacobs who kind of ran through everybody. That was really their maybe 1 out of 2 explosive plays the entire day. So I thought all 3 phases of our defense were playing at high levels. We were getting after Jordan Love, making it uncomfortable for him. The linebackers were doing their part, and our D-backs were making it hard for Love to throw. So, I don't know what the heck's going on here with the Tobias stuff coming in here, but yeah, listen, I get it. It wasn't a perfect game for the Eagles, but I love this fan base. Only this fan base can be more pissed off about a playoff win than other teams are about a playoff loss. Like, get over yourself, guys.
First of all, this comparison is garbage. It's straight garbage. Tobias Harris would give you nothing every time you needed him to step up against a good opponent. Jalen Hurts, for better or worse, is he perfect? No. But all that guy does is deliver in big moments in crucial situations. It's what he does in second half. He is efficient and he wins. And that is a terrible comp. I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. But it goes to show you exactly the mindset of the typical fan who's more pissed off about today because we didn't score 40 points, and beat them, 40 to -30. Like, it's we should be worrying about different things there, guys.
In the Eagles' last 11 games, when they've had Hurts, when they've had their starting quarterback, so we're excluding the 2 Pickett games and the McKee game. In the last 11 games they've had Hurts, the defense has only allowed more than 20 points once. And it was to the Jaguars way back in week 9 when they allowed 23. Like, this defense is so incredibly good.
Yeah.
And they're so good in all phases, like so good against the run. They've been really good at not allowing explosive plays, but they also haven't allowed themselves to get dinked and dunked. And they've been good tackling, and this was a bad game for tackling, but all phases of the defense have just been so good. And the biggest thing for me is the emergence of Nolan Smith too. Like, I mean, I could sit here and talk about Zach Bond or Quinyon Mitchell or some of these guys over and over, but Nolan Smith, I was a big Nolan Smith fan in the draft, and I did not have this season on my bingo card after last year. Like I was still hopeful for him as a player, but I didn't expect him to step up in the way that he has. And he's such a physical tone setter in the run game. And he's coming on as a pass rusher. He made Zach Tom look like a fool. Zach Tom, by the way, who was PFF's All-Pro right tackle over Lane Johnson, despite the fact Lane Johnson beats him in every metric they have almost, just made him look like a fool on one pass rush rep and got to Jordan Love. He cleaned up for Milton Williams on another sack. Nolan Smith is having an awesome year, and it couldn't have come at a better time, especially with what looks like a huge whiff on the Bryce Huff thing and with the Brandon Graham injury. The Eagles need Nolan Smith to keep playing at a high level, and he's delivering right now.
Sure is. Love it.
He's awesome, man. I love seeing him come into his own. And that who's next on the defensive takes?
You go for it.
Yeah, for me, it was Nolan Smith. He's exciting. There's a huge level of optimism there. But unfortunately, I'm going with another Georgia Bulldog and the exact opposite. And that's just me being real. My take, and I just am getting over it now, was Nakobe Dean getting hurt. He was on his way to possibly having a career game. He had, 2 tackles for loss and how many snaps? Like, he was playing phenomenal. His improvement this season has been off the charts. And he's a guy, like we said on Party on Broad last night, we're all kind of his fathers. Like, we're all rooting for him. We all care. We're emotionally attached.
Dedicated time and effort.
We believe in him.
Well,
and together. And he had 60 run stops this year. He was a leader of this defense, and him going down, and he knew it as soon as he went down. I thought it was initially an abdomen injury, but then when you saw it further, and David sent me the photos during post-game show, man, I was gutted. I was straight gutted, man. And it wasn't a happy Monday for me. It was because of the Nakobe Dean injury. I was gutted, and just prayers up, man. I hope for a speedy recovery. Nakobe Dean, let's get this guy a ring and help that recovery out.
Yeah, it was hard. I was watching the defense all 22 today, and it was heartbreaking because the camera lingers after the play ends before it cuts out. And he made a great play on that tight end screen, and Nolan Smith runs up to him to celebrate and grabs his arm to pull him up, and you could see Nakobe Dean just shake his head at him, and that was heartbreaking. Had such a good year. And I hate that for him, especially given the circumstances, how long it took him to get on the field, that it's going to affect next year for him, that next year is his contract year.
Yeah.
It really sucks. I hate that for Nakobe Dean. So all our faith now is in Vic Fangio coaching up Oren Burks and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And we'll see what happens. But David, what was your defensive takeaway?
My negative takeaway is that the Philadelphia defenders missed 14 tackles, which is the most of the season. That was very uncanny and kind of wild that they still only ended up giving up 10 points after playing that bad. But from the positive side, you guys touched on Nolan Smith. I mean, he is a revelation. He had 8 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 quarterback hits, 2 sacks. In my opinion, it was his best game as a pro. Yep. He played 88% of the snaps. He's almost becoming an every down guy. Basically because of what Shane mentioned. He also plays the run better than any edge on this roster. And then on the other side, you have Jalix Hunt, who has completely surpassed Bryce Huff, which is crazy because this is a rookie who many people never even thought was going to see the field. But his speed has been a big problem for opposing offenses. So if they can keep getting consistent play from the rookie there in Jalix, they have some real fastballs off the edge there. And they're asking a lot from him as a 3rd-round pick who nobody expected to come out and do much, but Bryce Huff wasn't doing anything with his opportunity, so it is on Hunt to keep bringing that. And I don't remember Sweat doing a lot in this game either. I mainly focused on Hunt and Nolan, but I can't remember what Sweat brought to the table in this one. He's been solid all year, and he's definitely a lot healthier and in better condition than he was last year going into the playoffs. But I was very impressed with their edge rushing.
Yeah, it was shocking that Huff, I think he only had one snap, right? Yeah,
One snap. But Ryan,
that was because the apparently the 3-man rotation was working beautifully, even though, as David said, I don't recall hearing Josh Sweat's name at all, but regardless, they clearly were doing well enough. So
Ryan, he had one snap, but he had a pressure on that snap. That's 100% pressure rate.
Yeah,
if we can just like keep that efficiency over more volume,
just
we'd be cooking with gas.
Next week we'll try for 2 snaps.
Just put him in on third downs. Give me 3 third down pressures on 3 snaps. It'd be great.
That would be historic.
How much? This is a stupid question. How much would an edge rusher get a contract for if he was guaranteed 100% pressure rate, but he could only play like 5 snaps a game? How much money is that guy getting?
Not much.
5 free pressures a game. I mean, Nolan Smith had 5 pressures this game, and it was the Eagles' lead.
That's a good game. 5 pressures.
I think that guy's getting like 20 million a year.
Yeah, 80 pressures a year. That's a lot of pressures for a year. So
yeah,
like a good game from an edge rusher is around like 5 to 8 pressures. So like he's probably making decent bag there.
Yeah, like I kind of low key think that's like a $20 million a year contract. Now, I guess offenses would just run the ball when they saw this guy come in the game. Yeah, right. It's like he's in for one of his snaps. Let's call a run play. I don't care if it's 3rd and 18.
Just call some hot routes and run the ball.
I was gonna look up real quick. The pressure leader for the year right now has 84 pressures. So he would essentially be number 5. He would be number 5 for pressures. This hypothetical person, but
17 games, it would be 85 total pressures. So.
Okay, so he would lead the league. So yeah, that dude's getting paid.
All right, you're not wrong.
Okay, well that was dumb.
That was dumb, but
I'm glad we took. Let's go to player of the games, and then we'll close the book on this game. And David, I'll throw it to you first. Who was your player of the game?
I mean, I guess I'd have to go Dallas Goedert. He had one of the better catches, coupled with the most punishing 24-yard touchdown run I think we might ever see. He had 3 stiff arms on his way to the end zone. His return from injury has been key for the Eagles offense. He actually led the team in targets this week. So, yeah, I would say Dallas Goedert. And he had the best quote of the year, saying how he purposely slowed up just so he could mush that guy in the face one more time. That's just great.
I did not hear him say that.
I didn't hear that either, but that's awesome.
That's hilarious.
He said, I purposely slowed up so he could get some more. So yeah, it's just awesome.
That's awesome. I'm going to go second. I usually go last, but I don't want anybody to steal mine. And I got to play the clip. Those of you that were on post game, you heard it, but this was a Birds of the Roundtable show 1 week ago today when I made my player of the game prediction. And this is what I said. Quinyon Mitchell gets his first career interception to seal the game in the 4th quarter. Jordan Love is a gunslinger. He'll put the ball in harm's way at from time to time. 2.7% turnover worthy play rate, ranks in the bottom half of the league. So there you go. Quinyon Mitchell, first career interception, and it delivers the Eagles the victory and a well-deserved player of the game. There you go. That's my player of the game. Called it out. This is why you just say like obscure things like that, because nobody remembers when it's wrong.
Yeah, nobody remembers out of the year. The 17 other times where you said Quinyon's getting his first pick.
I'm pretty sure. I'm
pretty sure I never said that. But yeah, still. I think we all said it at one point. One of us had definitely been like,
said it at least 3 weeks. I'll own it. I went for it 3 weeks.
Yeah. But there you go. That's my player of the game. I'll give it to Quinyon Mitchell. Dives, where are you going?
Kenny Gainwell. No, he did have a good game. But yeah, I'm going to take the layup. Give me Nolan Smith. He's now got 12.5% of the sacks on Jordan Love this season, which is insane. Jordan Love, as Shane has said many times beautifully, is impossible to sack. And Nolan Smith got home on him twice last Sunday. what he does for the run game, what he does. I mean, it's almost a blessing in disguise. Almost when Brandon Graham got hurt, Bryce Huff is a bust. Nolan Smith, who I didn't really believe much in, truly stepped up and then some this season, and he's finishing out this season as a lot of people compare him as like a light Hassan Reddick, but Reddick was never this good in the run game.
Reddick was bad in the run game.
Yeah, so like the fact that he's stepping up so much, considering how bad Bryce Huff was against the run, like he is such a core piece of this team going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that gives us Ryan's the only one left, right? Ryan, who was your player of the game?
Yeah, I guess Mama Reese for it's a shower curtain. This is nice fabric we got from the fabric store, okay? Shower curtain. First of all, Kenny Gainwell gained 14 yards, which was about the same he had in 11 carries against the Giants. But no, I'm going to go with Saquon. He's 25 for 119. Could have obviously had about 40 more yards and a touchdown to officially seal the game. I thought again he was solid. He was exactly what this offense needed. And again, I figured that Hurts would kind of have a little bit of a struggle game, and we would need to rely on Saquon. And now that we got that game out of the way, Hurts will step up.
Saquon turned down 59 yards at the end there. He trails Terrell Davis for most yards in a season by 352. So he would need to, if the Eagles made the Super Bowl, he would need to average 118 a game to break the record. And he got 119 in this game. So like he's right on that average. So the Eagles owe it to Saquon to make it to the Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, they really
good time.
So there you have it. Let's flip over now and talk about this upcoming matchup against the Los Angeles Rams. And we're each going to give you guys have probably watched the show for a while. You know our format. We're going to give you our top matchups to watch, give a score prediction, and then we'll make our picks of the week. And so, Dives, I'll throw it to you first. Give me your matchup to watch.
I got to go Jalen Hurts versus the Rams pass rush. If anybody saw that game with the Rams breaking all those records, getting home against the Vikings, it was straight up silly. I think they had 9 sacks. And I didn't realize how good the Rams defense has been since week 7. They're 10th in defense EPA. They have a passer rating allowed of 82.5. That's 5th best in the NFL. 8th in run defense success rate. They only allow explosive runs at 3.1%. That's the best, 5th best in football. We all know about Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Byron Young and Kobe Turner. These are some young up-and-comers for this front 7 that combined for 17 pressures on Sunday, 4 sacks combined. And it's insane that Sam Darnold had 163 net passing yards because of the yards lost on those sacks. Braden Fisk had 5 pressures and 4 hurries. Jared Verse only had 1 tackle, but he did have that fumble recovery. He was constantly in the backfield. Byron Young, 8 pressures. Kobe Turner, 2 sacks in the first half alone. And, like Shane said, this interior O-line really struggled in pass protection against Green Bay. 8 pressures. And we've seen Jalen Hurts be elite with a clean pocket over and over and over again this season, according to Anthony DeBona of Philly Sports Network. He's got a better QB rating than Josh Allen when kept clean. And I'm just going to double down on what I said at the start of the show. I need to see better from Kellen Moore. It's got to be better, or halftime live, I am going to be flipping tables and very upset. So the pass rush of the Rams is legit.
All right. the Rams also, like I mentioned earlier, they stunt on passing downs a lot, and that's particularly what was causing the Eagles' issues. So hopefully they get that cleaned up. This is not a real blitz-heavy team, and when they do blitz, 65% of the time it's only a 5-man pressure. They only send 6 or more, 8.8% of their blitzes. So I do think the Eagles will be poised to deal with blitzing. It's the 4-man stunt game that kind of worries me a little bit, but hopefully I trust in Statland to get that cleaned up this week. David, I'll throw it to you. What is your matchup to watch?
I went with the Eagles receivers versus the Rams defensive backs. So since the Eagles last played the Rams, they've won 6 of their last 7 games, and a lot has changed defensively for them since then. The last time they played, Saquon had 300 all-purpose yards. So like most teams right now, stopping Barkley is going to be the most important part of their defensive game plan. And doing that, they bring in extra people in the box, which leaves a lot of one-on-one opportunity for the receivers. Last time they played, AJ faced Darius Williams. He had 4 catches for 86 yards. I believe Devontae missed the game. He will likely probably line up against Witherspoon a lot. If Witherspoon is healthy, he actually left the game injured versus the Vikings last night. The Rams play a lot of single high, which does pose some issues for Hurts. He seems to be better versus cover 3. During the season, the Rams were in cover 1 man 20% of the time, cover 3 33% of the time, and cover 2 15.6% of the time. So they do bring a lot of looks. They do try to disguise a lot of plays similar to Fangio, just not as well. And a lot of their big sack numbers have been assisted because they're coverage sacks, because of how well their defensive backs play. They have a talented defense. They cause the quarterback to hold on to the ball a tick longer, which is why their sack totals are as high. It really made Darnold struggle last night. I mean, he couldn't figure it out the whole game. Their defense has only allowed 10 points or fewer in 4 of their last 5 games, and the one game they didn't was against Seattle when they didn't even need to win. It was much like the Eagles, you just throwing the game towards the Giants. It wasn't a lot of starters. So I think that's going to be a big matchup, because if teams are going to focus on trying to stop Saquon, like we mentioned earlier, AJ, Devontae, and Goddard are going to have to get theirs in order for the offense to go.
Yeah, the Rams spin safeties, so they disguise their coverage. They spin safeties post-snap on 44% of opponent dropbacks, which is the highest rate in the NFL. And coincidentally, the Eagles are second at 40.1%. So these are the 2 defenses most determined to disguise things pre-snap and make it hard for quarterbacks to figure out. So you can definitely keep an eye on a lot of that in this one too. Ryan, I'll throw it to you next. What are you looking at? What's your top matchup to watch?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Eagles pass rush versus old man Matthew Stafford. For all of you who apparently pray and go to the church of Matthew Stafford, let me just talk about his last 3 games here for the Los Angeles Rams. It was the 49ers. Matthew Stafford, 110 yards, 110, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Then they went ahead and they played the Jets. That wasn't too much better either. I apologize. It's 160 for the San Fran, 110 for the Jets. By the way, in the San Fran game, he did not score a touchdown. And then finally against the Cardinals, through 189. Hey, not a bad day there, buddy. Oh, no touchdowns though. No, he's great. The fact of the matter is he's older than his own coach, and it obviously shows. This guy is absolutely falling apart at the seams in front of our very eyes. Please stop drinking the Kool-Aid from the Detroit days where he didn't amount to absolutely anything, with one of the best receivers out there in the world, didn't even amount to anything in the playoffs. So I don't want to hear this Matthew Stafford love. Our defensive line are going to attack Matthew Old Man Stafford and get him on the ground, break his hip, feed him some prune juice, and send him on back to LA.
I do notice you conveniently started your 3 games of Matthew Stafford box scores the game after they beat the Bills 44-42.
Well, listen, listen. The Bills, obviously, we all knew that was going to be a shootout. But listen, he had a nice shootout game there. That's the randomness that you guys all love to still bow down to. But I wanted to show the realism of the 3 games prior to the playoffs that he had where he didn't do shit.
My favorite Matthew Stafford thing is when we previewed the Week 12 game, and I came on this podcast and I said that Matthew Stafford has not scrambled once this season, and then he had like a 16-yard scramble.
I remember that.
That was awful.
And then he literally has like 1 scramble since then too. And
it was one of the longer scrambles of his career.
Yeah, so I mean, we can just keep an eye on that this week too.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
That's a good prop bet. I should make that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen,
Matthew Stafford rushing yards 0.
Yeah, 0. Over under. No, listen, I just think people get a little carried away with the Matthew Stafford love and the fear that Matthew Stafford puts into certain people, which in the chat, I won't name who, but we all know who it is. But I'm not scared. Sorry. Matthew Stafford, you're not 10 years ago. You're not even 5 years ago, Matthew Stafford. So I don't put too much weight into him being this big bad wolf.
Yeah, I will go Vic Fangio against Sean McVay. Vic Fangio's defense was basically designed to stop the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan coaching tree. Everything that they do, the 2 high safeties pre-snap, everything looks the same. We rotate the coverages after the snap. Like that was to combat under center play action. And, the quarterback turns his back to the defense. He does the play fake. He turns around and everything's changed. And they have a history. And so you go back 2018, back when the Rams, when McVay was like the toast of the league and the hot new thing. And they came into a game against Vic Fangio's defense, and they had scored 35, 36, 54, and 30 points the 4 weeks prior. And Fangio's defense held them to 6 points and intercepted Jared Goff 4 times. They bounced back from that and made a run to the Super Bowl. And in the Super Bowl, Bill Belichick basically rolled out the Vic Fangio defense, went 6-1 fronts. He played quarters behind, and they held the Rams to 3 points. And Sean McVay has talked about that. He was so devastated losing that Super Bowl. And it was like maddening trying to figure out how to beat Fangio's defense that he almost quit coaching for a little while. And so they matched up for the first time since then, earlier this season, and the Rams were held to 14 points until they had a garbage time touchdown with a minute left. Fangio has had McVay and Shanahan's numbers over the years. I'm interested to see what dials he's going to spin in this game, because there's some interesting decisions they have to make from a how to handle linebackers situation with their normal quarters checks if they're going to try to run that with Oren Burks. So they've got some interesting decisions to make that I'm sure I'll get into schematically for some preview stuff later this week. But it's Vic Fangio. It's what dials he is going to spin. The coverage that Rams have been the worst against this year is quarter, half coverages. Cover 6, cover 8, which is basically quarters to one side and cover 2 to the other side. That's the coverage the Eagles run at the highest rate in the NFL. And so I think it's a good matchup. I think for the Eagles, this is an offense that they faced earlier in the year. They've got a good idea of what to do. And I think Vic Fangio will spin those dials as the game goes. And I think the defense is going to have another really good game. So I'm interested to watch the chess match, though, because I think it's one of the more schematically complex defenses in the league going up against one of the more complex offenses. But this is a guy from the same tree as the offense that the Eagles just dominated in the Packers. They run the same style of stuff. And so my money's on Fangio.
And someone in the chat asked what Stafford's record was outside. He's 32-40.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah, bring on rain, hopefully.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. Does anybody know the name of the podcast episode when Mark was talking about Fangio's history with McVay?
Yeah, it's episode 3. But listen to the whole thing. All 5 episodes are great. But if you want to hear specifically that 2018 season, that's episode 3.
There you go.
So it was a podcast I think The Athletic put out several years ago. It's really good. But scroll back to the beginning because now it's just interviews on a feed. But the first 5 episodes are really good. Okay, let's get into the picks because we are running long and we got another show to record. Let's go score predictions. David, what do you have?
Great, you went straight at me. Hold up, let me find where this was.
I have it on the thing.
Oh, there we go. I'm going 29-19.
29-19.
Yep.
All right, Ryan, what
Eagles.
do you?
Obviously, David.
Keeping
the streak alive, buddy. I am going to do the same. I'm going to go Eagles 31, Rams 15.
All right, Dives, what do you have?
All over. I am going to go Eagles 31. Everyone else 29 or 31. Let me change that up.
Go to 30, right in the middle.
No,
I'm going to go 28-21.
I got Eagles 27-17.
27-17.
All right. Let's go to Cooper Kupp receiving yards at 59.5. I'll take the under. He's been under that total for his last 4 consecutive games. So give me the under.
All right.
David, what do you have?
I went under with that too.
All right. Ryan?
Under.
Dives?
Under.
Cooper on Cooper crime this Sunday night.
Yeah. Although the last time that Cooper DeJean faced a white slot receiver, it did not go well. So we can keep a lookout for that too. That should have been our matchup to watch, if we're being honest. Which team will have more sacks in this game, Dibes?
I'm sorry. I got to go Rams.
Ryan?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Eagles.
All right, David.
I'm going Rams. I'm going Eagles. I think I was the only one who went Eagles 7 weeks ago, but I think they'll do it again.
All right, I will go Rams as well. Total Jalen Hurts touchdowns. This is passing and rushing touchdowns. The line is set at 2.5. Ryan, what do you have?
Oh boy, that's a good one. What's my score? 21. Yeah, I'll go over. I'll say he gets 3. Saquon gets the other touchdown.
All right. I am going to take the under. I think it's 2 touchdown games. Saquon will rip a big one. We kick a couple field goals. That's how I'm getting to 27. David, what do you have?
He gets 3. I'm going over.
All right. And Dibes?
Also going under.
Okay, AJ Brown versus Puka Nacua. Who has more receptions? Ryan.
I'm gonna go with AJ Brown. Anytime there's been a game where AJ hasn't really done much, and it's been a big thing in the media, that next game, miraculously, he goes off.
So true.
All right, David, what do you have?
AJ.
All right, Dibes.
Yeah, every time there needs to be like some sort of therapy session, at least via social media, they're calling it out. AJ goes bonkers. Give me AJ.
All right, give me Puka. I think their offense just funnels through Puka Nacua now, and I think it'll continue to. So I'll take Puka. Kyron Williams rushing yards. The line is at 79.5. Give me the under. Eagles are going to hold him. David, what about you?
Under.
Ryan?
Geez, that's tough. What was it?
79.5.
I guess I'll go under, just barely.
All right, and Dibes.
Give me over.
All right, and then our final one, over under Saquon Barkley rushing yards, 149.5. Dibes.
Going over.
Oh, snap.
All right, Ryan.
Under.
All right. He has only topped that number 4 times this year, but one was against the Rams, and I think he's going to do it again. Give me the over. David, what do you have?
Over. What did he get? 255 last time?
Yep.
Something like that, yeah.
I also added one more. Over under on Matthew Stafford rushing yards 0.5.
All right, David, what do you got?
I'm going over. Ryan has to go under.
Is this a requirement?
He has no choice.
I have no choice.
After calling him a corpse all night, yes, you have no choice.
That freaking bum. Screw it. Yeah, I'm going under. No, in fact, I'm going to go. He's officially going to go negative.
Do they QB sneak with Stafford?
It's.
I don't remember.
Rare. It's rare.
That's what I'm trying to think here. Like, if we're talking scrambles, I feel pretty good about it. If we're talking QB sneaks, they do sneak with him. I'll take the over.
This is big. This is actually a really good comment from Brett Eclipse that we might need to start making some over-unders on Jake Elliott. Because we did it with turnovers with Jalen Hurts and stuff earlier this season.
So put it on there right now. Put 0.5 for the over-under on misses total.
Let's
can
do it.
Be extra points, can be field goals, does not matter. Total kicks.
Okay, Jake Elliott. Basically, will he miss a kick, David?
I'm going to say no this week, but I don't feel good about it, but I'll say no.
All right. Ryan.
I'm going to go no. Under.
All right. Dibes.
Where are we at? Like, how many times the last 5 or 6 weeks has he screwed up? Like,
all but one game?
He has missed a kick each of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. All but one game.
4 of the last 6.
Is he doing kickoffs? I forget.
I don't know.
Depends on the weather.
Yeah.
It's weather dependent because they don't. Yeah, because they're trying to get him to kick it out. But he did kickoffs last week.
Give me over.
Give me the under. He's not going to miss it this time.
All right. Reading this thing.
Wait, Shane, did you do over
right.
or under on Matthew Stafford rushing yards?
Yeah,
over.
All over the place here. Lord.
All right.
He has 41 on the season. Matthew Stafford rushing yards.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here, guys. Thank you guys for joining us for our wild card recap divisional preview. Be sure you join us next week when we recap the Eagles' victory over the Rams and preview an NFC championship game with the Commanders, speaking it into existence.
Oh, God.
Let's throw it around the horn here. David, final thoughts. Plug your stuff, man.
You can follow everything I do at PHL Eagle News and Philly Sports Network. I have a piece coming out tomorrow in regards to Jalen Carter and how his leadership role has really taken off this year and how important it's been for the defense, his evolution there in that role. But and follow everything everybody else does here, Eagles Pinpool Network, Crockpot, Philly Sports PSA, Shane Half NFL, anybody else I'm missing. and keep listening and commenting. That's the best part of this show is you guys, the interaction.
All right. Ryan, final thoughts, man. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I would like to spend my allotted time reiterating the fact that Matthew Stafford is an old bitch and he sucks. And
Jeez.
yeah, listen, I'm sorry. I absolutely hate him. He is my new Brett Favre. And I hated Brett Favre with a passion. Listen, I'll throw this out to Pumper if he's still out there listening in. And I will rightfully so do my part. But when the Eagles destroy Matthew Stafford and he looks like ass cheeks, I want an official apology next week on the show. And I will do the same. If we get cooked and you were right the whole time, I will gladly apologize for my part. But
in his Gainwell jersey.
Yeah, listen. Well, listen, Gainwell still has to do something, but more than 14 yards. But listen, that still is open. If he scores a touchdown, that's still open. Other than that, follow everybody. Anybody who's going down to tailgate M5, come holler at your boy.
Hey Ryan, can we get you to commit to tattooing number 14 on your arm if Gainwell's the Super Bowl MVP? Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, will you go that far?
Okay. Where does it have to be?
Anywhere, your choice.
All right. Okay. All right. Listen.
Just think about it.
Anywhere.
I'll do it.
Anywhere that you can show on the stream without getting the YouTube channel banned.
Listen. I'll do the whole back. I'll do the game.
Oh my God.
Back, the number. I'll do that. I don't care. Because that shit ain't happening.
All right, we're off the rails. Dives, get us out of here.
Oh man, please. God, the Kenny Gainwell hate with a 2000 running back in front of him. What are we doing? What are we doing? And we're getting a lot of comments that it needs to be a trans.
All right, screw it. I'll do trans stamp.
There it is. Make sure you clip that, Shane.
Minute 57:40.
We'll be coming back to that shortly. I've been slacking on the draft content. Once the Eagles season ends, we'll get back at finishing up my position rankings. But I put out some fun highlight reels. Go check those out. And we'll be live right after this for a national championship preview between Ohio State. And it doesn't matter. Ohio State's going to roll. But anyway.
Way to spoil the show.
Oh, wow, geez.
It's true, though.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you guys for following along with our coverage this season. Make sure you are checking out all the shows on the Eagles Pinpool Network, wherever you get your podcast. Rate, review. It really helps us out. Share it with your friends. Later this week, I'll have my show with Johnny, our film review show coming out. We'll have preview shows, Eye on the Enemy. Kelly Greenhour will be back. Lots of stuff coming your way. So keep it tuned to the Eagles Pinpool Network and go Birds.